Welcome, everyone, to Talking Textiles. I'm Kyle VanDamme, member of the Marine Fabricators Association and owner of Marine Tops Unlimited. I'm your host for today's discussion. Thank you to everyone listening in on today's episode. The goal of this podcast is to get to know the wide variety of positions and markets that make the advanced textiles world turn. We will be talking to professionals in different roles throughout this series to help inspire the next generation of textile professionals and anyone interested in learning about others' journeys in the world of textiles. ATA offers advanced textiles content throughout the year, including the upcoming MFA Pacific Northwest Regional Workshop being held on September 22nd and 23rd in Bellingham, Washington. Please visit textiles.org/events to learn more. On today's episode, we are speaking with Justin Jones and Clint Halladay from SewLong Custom Covers. Justin Jones is the CEO, owner, and business team leader, and Clint Halladay is the COO and culture and operation leader. SewLong leads the industry in marine canvas for wake boats, manufacturing a unique line of stylish and functional products. Their goal is to use premium components with a blend of technology, innovation, and craftsmanship to deliver products that will last a lifetime. And now, let's talk textiles. Hi, I'm Kyle VanDamme, and this is Talking Textiles. Today we will talk to Justin Jones and Clint Halladay. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
First question I'm going to have for you guys is just tell me about your business. When did it start? Where's your location for the folks that obviously don't know? Give me your kind of the background, Justin, how you started it, and Clint, how you kind of came into it, and give me the kind of the cliff notes on that.
Yeah, maybe I'll start with this one. Kind of unofficially started in '99. I grew up in the sewing business. My dad was in the upholstery trade, so I knew how to sew. And then always was passionate about boats and boating. And I had a good water skiing buddy, decided to start selling boats. And he said, "Hey, you know how to sew? Can you make me a boat cover?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I can." So that was the start of that. So I kind of made one or two, and then I went to one of at the time, IFAI expos, and took a class on how to make patterns for boat covers from Katie Bradford. And it just blew my mind. And so after that, I called Katie and said, "Man, I learned so much in that 1 hour. I want to come work for you and really learn how to do this." So I took a lot of initiative. She's like, "Yeah, sure, come on out." So I flew myself out to Connecticut, spent a week at her shop, and just really was able to take this. I had sewing skills, but didn't really know how to make good boat covers. And so Katie really gave me a springboard to start that. After that, I officially incorporated, I think, in 2001. We're here in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've worked out of my dad's backyard. My dad still runs his upholstery shop. He's in a little residential area here in Salt Lake. In 2008 or late 2007 or 2008, we bought the shop we're in now, grew into it. Now we're busting at the seams, looking to buy a bigger, better space, but still making this one work. And yeah, you want to explain how you came on 2 years ago?
I was delivering sheetrock, and it was not a very fun job carrying sheetrock up and down stairs. And I did lots of backpacking with my friends. We went to Peru, and on this backpacking trip through Peru, we were talking about how we should make a backpacking company. And lo and behold, when I got back, I knew how much money I needed to make an hour, and there was an ad on Craigslist to go make boat covers, and I was like, I'm going to go learn how to make backpacks and figure out why they're so damn expensive. And then I got the job here, and I thought, how the hell do they make them so cheap? And so learning how to make backpacks quickly went by the wayside, and a love for leadership and growth and development took its place.
Yeah, that's so funny, Justin. It's like that's a very similar story to my story. Just my dad kind of started the business. He actually started the business sort of on accident because of the same thing. Someone that he boated with knew that his dad had like a drapery and upholstery business, and they asked, "Hey, can you make a boat cover?" And they'd always done their own ones, kind of, half for whatever it worth is. And they kind of figured out, okay, we can do this. Okay. And then the marina saw it and said, "Hey, you made these. Can you make some for us? What can you guys do?" And it just kind of took off from there. So it's funny how that works. And yeah, it's cool that I guess I never had never had heard that story from you that you had worked with Katie Bradford, but yeah, for people that don't know, she's kind of one of the OGs, I guess, if you will, in the MFA and the ATA, the greater ATA world. But yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I guess tell me about some of the I know these have kind of been things that you guys have done over the years or kind of come up with, but tell me about some of the products you make and some of the boat companies you work with to make some of those different things and all the specialized design things you guys are doing.
Well, I think one of the things that makes our shop really unique is we design and manufacture a lot of our own mounting brackets or bimini tops. So we've got a very unique bimini top that mounts specifically to wakeboard towers. So we're really laser focused on wakeboard boats and the covers for them. So that whether it's a cover or a bimini top or sunshade, we've been laser focused on that for years and years. And throughout the years, we've slowly but surely developed our own mounting brackets and mounting hardware. So we design it, we source it locally, have a local machine shop manufacture it, and then we process it, put it in kits, and use it to manufacture and install our tops. So because of that, we work a lot. We have one big OEM that we work with, which is Centurion Boats, Fine Line Industries, which is actually Centurion and Supreme Boats. So we sell direct to them, and then we sell to a lot of boat dealers. Obviously, we got our foot in the market here locally, but then it's slowly branched out throughout the country, where we deal with a lot of boat dealers and sell our products directly to boat dealers.
That's cool. I know you guys I've talked to you many times over the years, and you guys you kind of have found that sort of, that thing that people want. And it's those wakeboard towers are really difficult to build a good top for. So it's like you guys have solved an issue with it. Plus, you guys make some kind of cool extra things where you have the sleeves where some of the boards go in the top and stuff. So it's just a really cool product that you guys make, I know, and it's kind of one of the things you hang your hat on. Is the market in your area mostly wake boats? I mean, is there more runabouts? Is there cruisers around there? Or what's the market in your area really?
Yeah, there is some cruisers and some other boats, but primarily it's wake boat focused. I mean, in our market, it's definitely a very heavily in wake boat. The world's largest Centurion dealers here, the world's largest Nautique dealers here by volume. So there's a pretty heavy influence in the wake boat market here, and I think
Sure.
Mastercraft and they're all big, very big dealers. That are,
If you walk our boat show, every other dealer there was dealer of the year last year.
Gotcha. Okay.
A
Cool.
lot of boats per capita.
yeah.
Cool. That's awesome. That's awesome.
You see some pontoon boats, but you don't see at boat show. You don't see any, if many, go fast boats. You don't see any. You see a few cruisers. It's definitely wake boat is the general theme. Wake boat, and then the second probably biggest would be fish boats and pontoons.
Yeah, up by us, up in central Wisconsin, it's all pontoons and fishing boats, and then there's some occasional wake boats sprinkled in at the boat show. And then you'll just see random stuff that aren't even boats that people are trying to sell. Cutco cutlery will be there, and just random stuff. It's like, what are you
Yeah.
guys selling knives here for?
Yeah.
But hey, it must work, so they do it. But yeah, it's just kind of cool to see how everybody's what your market is there and what you see really around in your area. So tell me about then, kind of walk me through what is your size of business, how many employees you guys got there, and kind of how has it gone throughout the years? Where'd you start and where'd you kind of get to? Did you have a high and come back down, or have you always steadily grown, or how's that worked for you guys?
Yeah, 16 full time, 2 or 3 part time, a couple of home sewers. It has been just pretty much a steady growth over the years. Some years more than others, but I don't know that we've ever had a year where it declined. Even in the 2008, we had to work our tails off. Maybe we did have a down year then, but we had to fight really hard to make it through. And I mean, for the most part, all in all, it's either been a little bit of growth or a lot of growth throughout the years.
Awesome. That's cool. Yeah, it's kind of the same for us as we've had opportunities to grow, and it's, as you guys know, one of the toughest things that is to grow is just finding good people. But obviously, with you guys having close to 20 people between full-time, part-time. You're figuring it out there. So that's obviously one big question.
We're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, just like all of us, just like all of us, right?
Yeah, the young
So
part is the hard part. We've had over the years, we've had a revolving door, installed in the front door. There's been
yeah,
times I look back at the W-2s I had in a year, and I had more W-2s than I had, teammates by double.
sure. Well, I mean, it's part of it is that though you give some people a shot, and some of them don't surprise you, and okay, well, I guess this wasn't a surprise if they don't work out, and some of them do, where they're just like, wow, this person is a butt kicker, man. They're really taken to this, and they're really being part of this team, and they're gonna be here for years to come. So that would be leads me right into the next question, I guess. I would be remiss if I didn't ask. I know the big thing that people always ask you guys about outside of the products you make, and just general things, is the culture you guys have at your shop, and that's the big thing that you guys are big on, and that you guys do a really great job at, I think. And a lot of people always like to ask that when you guys do a lot of talks and seminars on that at the MFA shows and stuff. So give me a kind of idea of where that culture comes from, where the ideas for that are, and how it does so well for you guys in your business.
I'm really going to turn this one over to Clint because it's something that I've always wanted, but I never focused on it as much. And Clint, I don't know, for whatever reason, had a fire within that really took the initiative on his own to work on and change that. And that's, I think, made the biggest impact when it comes to culture. Again, it's something I've wanted, but I never put the effort and energy into it. And I guess maybe that's why I could always support Clint, because I agreed with it. And again, for whatever reason, I'd love to hear Clint's feedback on what lit the fire within him to really take the initiative and focus on it. So,
Well, I don't think that's 100% true that you haven't put effort
I
into
put effort in it, not like you have though.
I think it's the most over talked about topic and least valued topic at the same time.
Just implemented
Yeah,
maybe.
It's a buzzword to talk about your culture and your environment, and even here when our team tells us how awesome it is to work here, there are days where it still feels like it's a complete grind, and people are struggling with their own personal issues or their own interrelationships with each other, and meeting people where they are is still difficult. And what led us here was, again, I came here after delivering sheetrock, and I experienced a boss, I'll call him a boss, that was very uplifting at times and very demoralizing at times. And so when I came here and Justin's like, you need to read this book, you need to read this book, you need to read this book. They all started with Dave, like we did Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover, and then we did EntreLeadership, and Who Moved My Cheese, and then Good But Great, and Great by Choice. And that was inspiring to me to have this guy that was investing in me as a person, as well as like, yeah, he saw the benefit that it would bring his organization, but it was about me being a better me, if that makes sense. And so I think that was kind of natural for me when I came across another guy that I spend a lot of time with, JP Nervin, who is my personal coach, I guess. And I was listening to an interview that he was doing with someone, and he said that to be a good leader, you got to become a better person. And then he kind of went on, you want to be a better husband, you got to be a better person. You want to be a better father, you got to be a better person. So that's, from that moment on, with the background that Justin provided, the foundation that Justin provided, I really dove into leadership and development and meeting people where they are and trying to foster them as well.
Yeah. No, and it's a lot of when we were down at the MFA conference last year, I brought my newer CAD guy for the first time, and he'll be coming again, and he just soaked it all up and just loved it. His name is Todd. And he really liked listening to the seminar you guys put on there, and then getting a chance to talk to you guys too. And we had happened to fly down, and my dad just takes his RV down to Florida most winters, and we call him semi-retired and joke about it with him. So he's gone for a couple months during the winter. But we drove back on the RV with him, and he we listened to that audio book, the Culture Code, I think it was,
Yeah, yeah.
and I fell asleep a few times. I was napping because I'm a little older than he is, not much older. I just like my naps, I guess. But he listened or read that thing front to back, like before we were even halfway back from Florida. And he just really, really liked that book, and really enjoyed a lot of that kind of stuff. So, and it gave us some good discussions to talk to each other about. And man, I think that whole ride we were just sitting there talking about, hey, we need to do this at the shop, or we should do that at the shop, and we should implement this or look into this. And those MFA or ATA events are always so cool because they are just very thought provoking, in many, and they challenge you in a lot of different ways. So, but tell me, furthermore on your culture, on the culture you guys have in your shop. How do you think that's benefited you guys as you've grown? I assume there's only good things that when you have a good culture in place, I should say, and when you bring people in, it's got to make it just so much easier to bring people in, and then it's got to make it a lot easier to keep good people. I assume it's just when you have that already in place, and I'm sure it's probably a process to keep it going all the time. It doesn't, you don't just do a few things and then it's voila, it's good forever. But and I'm sure there's also, you guys could probably speak to some things where you go, hey, this worked really great, and then a couple things, well, I'm not sure if this was quite for us, this idea.
Yeah, only 10% of our ideas were good. So
And that's a pretty good number, right?
at best, right? So we've had to try a lot of things, and probably 10% of them actually stuck. All in all, I mean, obviously there's a reason we're doing it, but there's been, I hate to say, a lot of carnage along the way in things that didn't work or we tried. But I guess that's what makes a good leader, or something is continually trying to improve. Kaizen is another word, which is constant improvement, and so we're constantly learning from our failures and our wins and seeing what we can do to continue to make it better. I don't think that answers your question, though. Like, what's the benefit of it? Well, I guess maybe what would you say is that?
I think it does help keep people around.
Yeah.
It also weeds out the wrong people.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
When people, because as you're aware, it's hard to gauge. We've tried all different kinds of things in the job interview process, from going to dinner with them and their spouse to like asking goofy questions to like, it's just hard to tell whether someone's going to contribute or not. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for people that can contribute to our culture, not fit in with our culture, but make it better.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to find those people because we are such a positive environment and uplifting. That part's easy for people to get along with. It's getting held accountable that people aren't used to. Like, our team has really, really high standards, and we have a mantra that we say a lot around here: no insult intended, no insult taken. Because we have that mentality of like, yes, this is beautiful and it can be better, because like and it can be faster, and it can there's just a lot of, we have really high standards, and that part usually weeds the people out that think this is a happy, fun place, and that means they don't have to work hard. The high standards, along with it, kind of maintain our desire to continuously improve.
Yeah, no, I think those are some really cool things you just said there. Clint, I think that's kind of I think a lot of us in our shops think a lot of those things, or kind of have those sort of underlying type of ideas. Obviously, everybody in our industry wants to have high standards, and a lot of them do. A lot of folks do have high standards and build some great products, and they're all different, but they're all great in their own ways. But I know we feel the same way. There's nothing we've ever done out there that's 100% that's flaw free. I can find something we did a little something wrong with every job we ever did. Whether it's me, not quite patterning it perfectly or doing some of the CAD work a little. You could have been a little bit better, a little tighter here. Didn't surface it right, or one of our sewers with a little bit of a stitch that went a little crooked or something, or the installation or something was just a little off. 99% of things the customers absolutely love, and we know every imperfection and everything we ever make. That's just it's kind of cool. And Justin, I think it's kind of cool to hear the reality where I do think, there's a lot of good shops that have a lot of great culture out there, and that do a great job with that. And you guys are certainly at, right up there at the very top of that. But I think it's cool for you to hear you actually say, 10% of the things we do actually work, and 90% we try, and then you know what, that's not for us, or it didn't work out well, or it's whatever. So it's not to say that, a good culture shop has 90% of their things that they try to do just work right away. So it's a trial and error. Like it doesn't happen by accident. You guys are putting a lot of work into it, and you are trying hard to maintain that culture and everything. I think that's cool.
Yeah, and I remember reading my first leadership book or whatever, and thinking I'm going to do everything exactly like this book says. And
Sure.
and 20 years later, now I have to chuckle a little bit, because what the reality is read as many as you can and pick out what things are applicable to us. Because that whatever that book was their story for them, and being able to learn from their story and apply the pieces that are true for us to our business is really what it's about. And kind of that's why good leaders are good readers, is another day. So you can kind of constantly learn, because not everything is that person's story doesn't fit our story. Our story is different and unique, and we need to find the things that continue to make our story even better. And we find inspiration from other people, right? In the 10%.
Oh, I can say that I think the thing that is would be a culture shock for most anybody that came into our shop. Everyone that experiences it has a step back. We have our morning meetings, and there's a part in the morning meetings where we call it recognition and gratitude, where we pause and we let the team go around and just call each other up, like, hey, you did that really well. Hey, thanks for your help yesterday. Or, hey, I did this really awesome. And it works for us, and it has had a huge impact on our organization. But that doesn't mean it's going to work for your shop or for someone else's shop. But there might be something to that you can apply to your environment and what's important to you. Because the only reason that has worked for us is because it mattered to Justin. And had he been halfway, 1 foot in, 1 foot out with that part of our meeting, it wouldn't have worked, and it wouldn't have had the impact it had.
I agree with you guys wholeheartedly. That's awesome. Like you said, like some of those things might work for a lot of people and a lot of shops, but like you said, it's kind of personal to you. That's how you want to do it, and it works well for your shop. I am gonna switch gears a bit here and ask the question that I end up asking everybody, because it's still a very interesting topic, even though we're a couple years away from the whole pandemic. Well, depending on who you talk about, some people say we're still in it and might never be out of it. But how did that impact you guys when COVID came about and a lot of things started shutting down? Did you guys switch gears in business? Were you just busier, doing everything that you do already? Did you have to kind of change things at all? Tell me about kind of how that landscape changed your business, and if you're still there, or if you've kind of come back out of that and back to what we call normal, I guess.
Our biggest local boat dealer, which is a big part of our business, and at the time was a big part of our business, called us, because it was kind of that spring and had a bunch of orders in our system for them, and called us and said, don't make anything else. So like everybody, we all panicked, and kind of hopped on the bandwagon. And another former customer, family business customer of ours, had called and wanted us to make isolation gowns, and it didn't work out with him. But as it turns out, so my dad's family business, my sisters and brother taking over, happened to have a lot of fabric to make these isolation gowns on their shelf, which again, getting materials was a tough thing. And so I just got to give obviously everybody panicked, our customers, us, we've got scars from 2008, so we all switched gears. My niece, a photographer, we made a prototype isolation gown, posted it on Facebook, and a healthcare company reached out to us and said, "Hey, can you make them? I want to buy them," and started giving us purchase orders. And literally overnight, our team switched gears from big, heavy walking foot machines to running out and finding every smaller, lightweight machine we could. We kind of made an agreement or partnership with my family business. They provided the fabric and cut it, and then we sewed it and then sold it to these healthcares. So in a matter of, I think, in 3 months, we switched gears completely from making boat covers to making isolation gowns. We made masks as well. That wasn't a venture, a very good venture, I should say, or profitable. I think we lost money. And again, the goal wasn't to be uber profitable, just survive, right?
Sure.
So we switched gears, made about 20,000 gowns. And then as those purchase orders were kind of coming to an end, as other options were coming back online, our boat dealer, kept like, "Hey, I told you to quit everything, but do this one order." And then he'd call a couple days later, "Hey, yeah, do this, put this order back in the queue again." And hours, days later, "Do this one," and then pretty soon, do them all. And then we switched again 180 degrees from making gowns back to making boat covers with a vengeance, and it literally exploded. I think we 4 times our business since 2018. So I mean, you can see our growth pattern from 2018 to now. And the other thing, a big part of that is, I would also say from 2018 to now, 3/4 of our business now gets shipped out. So all of the vast majority of that growth has all been outside of Utah.
That's cool. Yeah, I think it's neat to talk to some of the people and see the resilience of these businesses that are in this industry. Just to see how people, not necessarily thriving during that pandemic, but surviving, and just figuring out what they got to do to keep the doors open, keep employees there, keep paying them, and just survive until we can get through to that point where all of a sudden people just started going, "Okay, we're going to go boating, we're going to do this, we're going to do outdoor stuff," and like you said, it exploded. Then the marine market probably has never had that much growth. I don't think that I know of, at least as I've been in it. So, and of course, our businesses go right along with it. Did you guys have kind of a big jump? I know it's not necessarily right then, but maybe some of it was, but for you guys, but did you have a big jump embracing some of the technology and embracing some of the automation right around that time, or was that before then already, that you were already set up for that, or how did that work out for you guys? Because I know you guys are kind of you guys are measuring digitally, I believe, in a lot of cases, I think, right? And then you do have a cutting table or two there, maybe.
Yeah, so I mean, I've had my sights set on technology from the day I heard Mike Erickson at one of our first things talk about how awesome technology was. We're being Dave Ramsey fans. We're kind of a cash company, and we didn't want to run out and get a loan to buy all that equipment. So over time, we kind of bit off everything we could chew, and now we have one of the few laser cutting tables. Because one of the things that, as being a custom fabrication shop, a lot of us pride ourselves in heat cutting our fabric so it doesn't fray. And every table manufacturer we talk to, when we express that want or that desire, basically kind of laughed at us, said, "Oh, the big guys, they don't do that. The big guys, they just use a regular cold cutting." And so finally, we found, have the funds to do it, and got Eastman, I think has done a few lasers, but this is one of their newer lasers. So now we have a laser automated cutting. It'll do cold cutting and laser cutting. So everything we do, we can still maintain our quality, or kind of keep that pride in a heat cut edge, but now we can do it with technology. We put the new table in 2 years ago? Last August? It's been 1 year.
We put the Eastman table in last year, and we put the ProCell in a year before that. But we had the ProCell plotter for like 2 years before that.
Yeah. So it's been maybe a little longer than that. Yeah. 5, 6 years. It's been a slow progression up. Now I'd say the vast majority, 95 to 99% of our projects are all, digital from the start to finish.
Yeah. Did that whole idea of that you were already set up digital and kind of automated to some degree, did that help a lot during the pandemic to be more efficient making some of the different things, or was that something that really helped you guys actually, not maybe make a whole ton of money, but at least not lose money and kind of keep the doors open there and be more efficient making that kind of stuff?
A little bit in the like making the gowns specifically. My family business, my sister's business, they stack cut a lot of fabric, so they were really geared to that. So we would plot out the top pattern layer for them, and then they would stack cut and cut it. So I think it did help us a little bit there. It wasn't a huge gain, but definitely helped us there. As we have become more laser focused on wake boats, and really we used to do fish boats and houseboats and pontoons, and we still do a few here and there, but the more we've gotten laser focused on wake boats, the more the technology does come into play, because we're now repeating a pattern, right? So a boat comes into our shop now that we don't have a pattern for. We have a very robust process we go through, and by the time the boat leaves our shop, we've really documented it. We've got the pattern documented. We've got photos of the boat, and it's quite honestly, it's on our website for someone else to purchase. So that's where the technology, I think, really benefits us, is that kind of, because we focused on something that we can repeat, it's really benefited us a lot.
Sure. Yep. Those repeatable type of things. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Those are your big money makers and cash cows when you don't have to put that R&D and that time into designing it again and patterning it. And like you said, so someone across the states or across the world or whatever orders, has one of those boats, you already have a pattern for it. You got some pictures on your website. They order it, you cut it and sew it, and it gets shipped out. And it's still, I'm sure you guys, charge the premium price of a custom cover where you're patterning it the first time. Still, and it's a good money maker. So it's still a very premium product. It's not like they're getting a, off the shelf one size fits 20 to 22 foot ski boat. And if you have a tower, hopefully it's somewhere around this area where there's the cutout. Technology wise, what are you guys using for a measuring device? I think you mentioned you had at one point had a pro sail plotter, I think you said.
We started out using Rhino two-dimensionally, and then just like doing stuff we could measure with the tape measure. And then that was with like railing covers and stuff, or Dodgers on houseboats, whatever terminology you want to use. Then we got a like wide format printer, and we started like printing some shapes to cut out.
A paper printer.
Yeah,
so plot it out and then cut it by hand.
Yeah. And then after that, we upgraded to the Pro Cell plotter. So we bolted that thing onto our table and ran that for probably 2 or 3 years. And then COVID happened, and right after the peak of once the marine industry as we all started feeling the marine takeoff, that's the same time that our OEM company came out and said, hey, you guys are building all of our tops for next year. So we had to really ramp up kind of fast. So we pulled the trigger on another Procel, the actual cutting table. So that helped us kind of cut our coated fabrics faster, but we were still drawing and plotting all of this umbrella and stuff and cutting with the heat knife, but it still was a little bit faster. You asked what we're measuring with. We use a ProLiner.
Okay.
Long story short, we use a ProLiner to measure.
Yeah, we're really in that same kind of ball game, and I'll have to definitely talk to you guys more outside of this, because that's the same thing we were looking for. Is we want to heat knife cut our acrylics, which is mostly Cimbrella for us. And yeah, same thing. We've gone to some of these people, and they're like, you don't need that, and it's like, well, not that I need it, it's that I want it. So I'm gonna get it. From one of you guys, I'm gonna figure out a way to get it. Because that's just what I want in my business, and that's the level of quality we want. So I think that's important for all of us to not sacrifice quality, and it's always kind of been one of our sort of driving factors is whatever we do, whether we're embracing technology or anything else, making changes in our business, we're never going to sacrifice quality to gain quantity or be more efficient or whatever it might be. We're going to try to get more quantity and get more efficient, but never sacrifice quality. Always building a better product and
You know,
not never a cheaper product.
exactly. We wanted to, compete with the big shops, Great Lakes and Commercial Sewing and all of those guys. But again, we wanted to do it with the custom fabrication way, right? Like that heat cut and those, so we're kind of in between those two. We're kind of making our own little niche, you
Mhm.
know, in between those
Yeah.
two.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, well, let me switch gears again and ask you guys, first of all, down in that area, are you guys seasonal too much down there? Are you pretty much a year round busy the same amount, or is there some sort of what is your market down like there? I assume you guys get a cold season where people aren't boating, but maybe I'm wrong because I've never been down to the area myself.
We are very seasonal, and that always in the early years that was something that was way more challenging to deal with as far as like keeping staff and keep team in place. Now that we've gotten a little bit bigger and we've really focused in on what we know we're going to sell in that, it's it's really helped us smooth out the seasonality of it from a production standpoint. The demand still is chaotic in the spring and that, but what we've been able to do is get the capital to, and we know what products we're going to sell, so we actually pre-build a lot of stuff in the off season. We finally got the capital to kind of do that, and then in the summer we can just ship it out, and so we can basically kind of double our income, in that super high demand without having to double the production, and then we can kind of cash flow the rest of the year and take that cash to build it again in the off season to get stocked up and ready. So that's been huge for us to be able to get to a place where we can do that, and because we have been so focused on one particular thing like wake boats. The big thing that we do, something simple, is a swim deck cover. We do a ton of those. So we'll stock up on the swim deck covers that we know we're going to sell throughout the year, or board rack covers or bimini tops. We do a ton of bimini tops that we stock up. And then in the summer when a customer calls, we're getting to the point where we're Amazon, yep, we'll have it on a truck this afternoon and ready to go. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that was going to be my next question, and you just kind of led into it. I was assuming you guys probably did start pre-building stuff in your slower season and kind of having it ready to go out the door. So it's funny, say Amazon, yeah, be there in 2 days, maybe one if you're close by.
yeah.
That's fun. Yeah. Um, how about we got probably time for a couple more questions here. Tell me how you guys, what's a work life balance like for you guys, and is it, I'm assuming it's more so than just you guys. Obviously it's kind of through your culture, it's something that you guys are kind of the whole crew, you want to have a good work life balance. Obviously we all do, we always all say that, and us as owners and the people in leadership, it's a little harder to sometimes have than not. But tell me about that. Tell me about, I know some of you guys do, or you guys do some events where you're, getting the whole crew out on the boat and stuff like that, and kind of team building exercises. So tell me about some of the stuff you guys do like that, and how that works for you.
I'm going to say one quick thing, and then I'm going to turn it over to Clint. To a little degree, I think we're actually learning from our younger generation here at our shop of work-life balance. I'm a little bit more the old school or old generation where, a 40-hour work week is kind of the minimum you need to do. It should be 50, 60. And some of these guys, that's just not what they do. And it's been challenging to kind of accept that, but also if you really take a step back, it's like, okay, what am I missing? What is working 60 hours a week getting me? What can I do differently to be more like them and still be successful or in that, but also, so that's been a challenge and interesting to observe. I hear Clint laughing over here, and I'm curious now what he has to say.
Yeah, this work-life balance, and I don't know if I'm gonna hit exactly where you're going, but what I heard, because you brought up the team work-life balance, right? And us as leaders have been like hounding them, get your 40 hours, get your 40 hours, get your 40 hours. And about 3-4 weeks ago, me and Justin were just talking, and we just threw out the idea, do they really need 40 hours? Like they're currently not getting 40 hours. We're still getting everything done. We're still profitable, and they like to come to work. And so we kind of took a step back and we're like, this generation just doesn't, they value the flexibility way more than they value the pay, right? So for them, being able to come in at 10 on Tuesday and leave at 2 and then come in the next day and work 12 hours is way more valuable to them. And we have team members that do that. It blows me away that that's what they do, but that's what they do. They value that way more than us, than the other things that I think the other generations used to value. And so we have really taken a step back and kind of just observed. And we've changed since then. We've kind of reined our goals back a little bit. And we're like, well, we're not hitting them anyway, so why don't we bring them back in? And honestly, since we've done that, we're producing more the last 3 weeks. Like the numbers have actually increased since we've lowered the goal, because I think it was a little demoralizing for them, because it was based on them getting the 40 hours. And since we reined it back in, now we're getting more work done. It's kind of wild. And yeah, I don't know that there's a clear answer to work-life balance other than, like, sometimes I think Justin works too much and sometimes I think I don't work enough. So it goes, it goes both ways.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you know, what I'm just observing is, I think we've had to work really hard, and that's the benefit. In the earlier days, we had to work 40, 60, 80 hours a week, and even you worked quite a bit more on both of us. And now I think we've been able to, because we worked so hard in the early days and gotten our place to where it is, it's been easier for us to not work as many hours. We still work as hard, but not as many hours, right? And which has been, I think, good for our personal lives, that work-life balance, right? And again,
yeah.
Learning from our team.
No, it's cool you say that. I mean, me and my dad were in a similar situation. In like 2018, we built our new shop, and it was a big undertaking. We were like quadrupling the size of our shop, and we built it and bought it and built it. So, and we're in a fortunate spot out in Wisconsin where the land in our little town that we're in is very cheap, and we could afford to do that. Where I know a lot of people in bigger cities can't. That's just not affordable to build a huge shop. That was hard for us for a couple of years because we were trying to do a lot of it ourselves, build all of our tables, do the finishing work in the shop, do all the painting, save some money and things that we could do easily and just put some labor into. And we would go work ourselves, 10, 12 hours luckily it was during the winter. So we were probably doing like 8 hours at our shop, at our old shop. And then we'd go until 10, 11 midnight and paint at our new shop and do this, do that, build some tables, get everything ready, and try to get ready to move into that shop so we weren't during our spring trying to move. So yeah, that was a tough couple of years, and I think we've kind of gotten to the point where we don't have to work as hard now, which is nice, and have a little bit more work-life balance. But I think it's cool for you guys to hear you guys both say, and I think it's refreshing to hear you guys both say, we look to our younger employees and the younger generation, and you're learning from them, not saying, wow, you guys are doing it wrong and this isn't the way you do it, you need to work more, but instead just sort of embracing the way that they sort of operate and what they value that more, having some freedom to be able to kind of not necessarily set their own hours, but kind of, work a little more this day or work a little less that day. And as long as production is up, and the dollars make the sense at the end of the day, and things are moving forward, and the company is doing well, it doesn't necessarily always matter, to some degree, how you get to that. It just really matters that you're getting towards your goal or moving in the right direction. So it's cool to hear that you guys are, learning from a younger generation. And you always hear a lot of older folks saying, "Oh, the younger generation doesn't do this. They don't know how to do that. They're bad at this. They're bad at that." Which in some regards is somewhat true, maybe, but also they just do things a different way. They operate a different way, and there's some things that a younger generation is better than older generations at, and always will be. So it's cool to see how you guys are kind of embracing it rather than trying to run away from that fact, because it is here to stay. The younger generation, people younger than me, I'm in my mid 30s, and people younger than me, they just do things different. They operate different. They value different things, like you said, and it's neat to seeing businesses kind of figuring that out and working with that rather than sort of going the opposite way and in trying to hide from that, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's probably about all the time we're gonna be able to have today, unfortunately. So it's like all these things, we get towards the end of it, and I think we could sit here and talk for another 8 hours, but I'm sure you guys got stuff to do, and so do I today. But yeah, well, thanks you guys for joining us today. It was really cool to kind of get some insight into your guys' shops and you two specifically. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of ATA Talking Textiles. ATA is a not-for-profit association representing the international specialty fabrics marketplace. Learn more about events, workshops, and webinars ATA hosts throughout the year at textiles.org/events.